Welcome to the Hopium Podcast, just two men's opinion about crypto and NFTs. As always, this is not financial advice. Please do your own research.
All right, well, welcome to the second installment, you guys, of the Hopium Podcast. Today's a pretty cool episode, a cool opportunity for us. We have Kenny Loaded.soul from the Whales team. Kenny, how we doing?
Doing great, man. Blessed to be here. I'm very thankful to hop on the Hopium podcast, spread some hopium about my whales. Definitely good vibes. So
cool. Well, yeah, we appreciate you taking your time and hopping on here. So we'll just kind of kick things off. And first things first, just quickly, if you don't mind, just telling us a little bit about yourself, how you got started into crypto and kind of your journey from where you started to the Whales team.
yeah, no, for sure. So yeah, guys, I'm definitely Kenny Loaded. You might have seen some of my videos on Twitter. That was one of the things I kind of was trying to stand out as far as dropping things in the NFT space. But basically how I got started into crypto, I've always been on Twitter since 2012, and I was just seeing a lot of my friends and some other big players talking about crypto, and I didn't really understand it, didn't understand the blockchain or anything, and just wanted to explore some of that stuff. So in about late 2020 is when I started, buying some Ethereum, buying some Bitcoin, and kind of collecting. Didn't really understand what was being built. And then I've always been a big Gary Vee fan, right? So just like thinking about his YouTube videos, his Instagram posts and everything. And then all of a sudden he just starts having this like major conviction about like something. He was hinting about it, he wasn't really telling anybody really what it was. He definitely was talking about, that it had to do with the Ethereum blockchain and that you guys, need to set up a MetaMask wallet and things like that. So about that time in March is when it was around March of 2021 when this was going on. So I was just like, dang, like Gary Vee was really right about social media, back in the day. And, what could he possibly be talking about? So then I saw these drawings popping up, right? So Gary was drawing all these things and, posting it and then just, putting two together. I was like, okay, like he's selling NFTs, right? So then me and my buddy, that we've never bought an NFT before, just got downloaded MetaMask. We had, worked for like, a couple of weeks and we put, 4K together at the time, which was what one Ethereum was. And we were ready to, mint our VeeFriends, it was going to be a 1 ETH mint and everything. And we were super stoked. And then we were still super like, no idea. We were still kind of skeptical, because right, we're paying $4,000 for something like a doodle image, right? And didn't really understand like the community aspect of it at the time or anything. So it's the week of mint. We're ready to go. We have the MetaMask, and then Jake Paul and Little Yachty tweet about Yummy Coin, right? So Yummy Coin was some altcoin that was pumping at the time, right? So me and my buddy were like, dang, we can, maybe we can mint two VeeFriends, right? So we put this one Ethereum into this Yummy Coin, and within a week, we were down 90%. It went down. It went down to $400, and basically, we were just like, dang, like we obviously got pumped and dumped on, and like you're super discouraged. You kind of turned away from NFTs for a little while, and we watched VeeFriends run to 10 ETH, like, and it felt bad, man. So we were just like, all right, we're gonna take a break, step away, and then I think we ended up buying some random ETH projects, like for real cheap minting. And then we got into this project called Knights of Degen, and then that's when we really started to understand like why NFTs have value, because it was like a sports like gambling community and everything. I don't know if you're familiar. Drew Austin and Blake Jameson over there on ETH, but basically like it's a really super tight community, and they were they bought a FCF football team, the fan controlled football team, so they run one of those like in the Bored Ape League and stuff like that too. So that really made me understand. But at the time I didn't have the money to be spending money on gas all the time like that. It was just out of my range for like Ethereum, right? So I started exploring Solana, and same kind of story. You had to lose a lot of money at the beginning to make money. And I think my first one was some baby dragons on Solana. I rocked some pixel baby dragons, and then I think they got rugged. But then I bought some Zillas, right, at 0.5. I
Okay.
think that the Zillas at 0.5. So then we're sitting on those and still hadn't made too much money, but then those both ran to like 14 Sol, and Sol was still about like 180 at the time. So I ended up selling both of those. And I think this is about October when there was like a holy trinity of like, it was like Stoned Apes, Catalina Whales, and Baby Ape Social Club were all kind of like right around the same time. They were all about like 9 Sol floor or whatever. And you know, I was deciding to get into one. And so I felt them out, and I looked into Stoned Ape Crew. I ultimately turned away because I felt for some reason, and obviously I was way wrong, that like the stoner community would put a cap on it.
Yeah.
You know, like it could only appeal to so many people, right? But you know, that, you know, in the NFT space, that's mainly a lot of the community is, you know, that stuff. So I watched, you know, Stone 8 run after I bought a whale. So I ended up buying a whale because I looked into the team. So it's Michael George,
Yeah.
like Carlo Fox, Alec Lycan, and these guys have all managed like music careers. Michael George has worked with Scooter Braun, you know, who's a big name that, you know, a lot of people know who that is, like with Justin Bieber, Ariana Grande and stuff. And he worked with him for 7 years. So that was just like a standing out thing to me. And I was like, you know, if we're going to grow something, like, yeah, like there's Ponzi, like tokenomics and things like that happening all the time. And like some of these projects are, you know, getting this token to a certain value. And you know, people are making passive income, but how sustainable is it? You know, like, is this going to exist in 6 months? So I was really like asking myself at that time, you know, like who's thinking long term here, like mostly the long term, who's not trying to just build hype, pump floor. So with whales, I kind of got that feel, and I'm gonna shout out my guy Soul Space Cadet on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen him, but he's definitely
Recognize it.
yeah,
He
yeah,
actually, I think he messaged me about about whales. And he's like, "Hey man, if
yeah.
you need help picking one out, let me know." And so we kind of went back and forth. So he hit me up when I was looking for one.
For sure. You know, he's definitely a great guy. And he was one of the main guys too. When I was, you know, making this decision, I DM'd him. I'm like, dude, why do you feel like, what do you feel the way you do about whales? Pretty much kind of like how you and I had our conversation when you know, bought your zebra. Yeah, so he just kind of like poured into me, and he said like, look, man, this is a bet on the team, you know, like, you know, the connections in the entertainment industry and the things that like they're talking about delivering. And this was before the blueprint came out, right? So like there wasn't too much, you know, there was no staking, you know, there was nothing really to hold the value, and the whales were still just holding right at like 9 to 15 for like the longest time. And I was just like, all right, so we roll with whales. I watched Stone Ape Crew to run to like 100 while my whale was still sitting at 17. You know, I could have bought a few day gods at the time or whatever, but you know, I wasn't feeling bad at all, because, you know, the community and things like that I was getting with the whales, and like some of the like connections, and like just the genuine like just sense of like someone caring about me, and, you know, taking me under their wing and teaching me about like emotional investing and different things like in the space and stuff too. Like it was really different, and it just felt like a whole set of mature investors, and I felt like I was in the right place at the right time. So that's kind of where I got into crypto and how I got into whales, pretty much, and transition there. But
So
so I kind of went on a long one.
You didn't actually, did you mint whales or no?
I know I got it like it was like a month later, yeah. So that basically I got into the Solana space like right when, you know, whales were minting, and then I hit that flip with Zillas, and then was able to, you know, pick one of those 3 projects, like I said, and I ended up going with whales. And ever since then, it just I've had like community members, you know, giving me tickets, you know, to like a Mavs game, just like people, you know, reaching out to me, checking on my, like, you know, 401k, making sure things are set up right, like just really like some big time advice, and like just people like caring about each other. And you can tell like they also believe in the team, right? So like they understand like that we're here for like building something long term. We're not talking about, you know, floors or whatever. Like it's something so much more substantial.
You know, I agree. And it's funny because with the whales was actually one of my first big wins, I guess, if you will, in Solana. I was able to mint one. I had the opportunity to mint more than one, but like I didn't know much about the whales at the time. I wish, obviously, now I would have.
Right.
I don't remember the mint price. I'm sure it was around 1 or 2 Sol.
It was one, yeah.
Was it 1 Sol?
Yeah, yes, sir.
And that first kind of big initial run up for the whales, I think it hit about 14 or 15. I sold it, and that was my first big like 10, 10x, whatever it may be.
For sure.
And so I've always stuck. I've never left the Whales Discord. I was always in, a member of the Discord. Wasn't as active in the community, obviously, once I sold. But you never stop seeing the Whales community pop up on Twitter.
Right.
At least I haven't. Maybe that's because I'm involved in it, or was involved with them a little bit. But when you reached out to me, what I thought was kind of really cool and very interesting was that the Whales had kind of had their big run up, right? And for me and for a lot of people, they see that and that's a reason for them to stay kind of away. Okay, well, they had their initial pump, we're seeing kind of a pullback, which in my mind, just from you and other community members that have reached out to me before I even bought one, it made my decision pretty easy, to re-enter the community. And I didn't go shopping on the floor, that's not what I was looking for. This is now a long-term hold, and that has a lot to do with our conversations and the conversations I had with some of the community members. So well done, it's a really good job by the Whales team and for you. So I guess my next question is how did the Whales team approach you, and how did you get this position, and kind of where you're at now?
Right. So like I've been doing the marketing thing for about a month now with Whales. So like my background experience, I've worked for In-N-Out Burger for 10 years before this.
Okay.
Actually. Okay, so like I was in management for them. I moved around and helped open up some stores. So like I say my strongest like talent is like people, understanding people and like being able to be a conversationalist and relationships and things like that. So just with Whales, I just kept interacting in the community, posting my like thoughts on Twitter, just sharing useful information and understand, like just sharing my conviction ultimately. And I think that's just important to note, like how you said that, like, we keep popping up on Twitter, but it's not really like in Discord where we're always just like raid, like a lot of it's super like organic and just like, Whales just volunteering, information, or like, like even with yourself, like Soul Space Cadet, like, and myself, like that's something we do like all the time. Like we see people talking about Whales, like we want them to like help understand, what they're buying, because like at the end of the day, like when we're buying these JPEGs, like we're spending money, like,
Yeah.
and the ultimate goal, is to not like just watch it, go to zero and, make money so you can go touch the grass and, do things. And, like a lot of people like get caught up, just buying JPEGs and things like that. But I just want people to understand, like, like when you're buying a Whale, like you're buying, an entertainment brand, you're buying like something that, can really be substantial. And that's just with like the Twitter piece. But as far as like I got the job, so I started posting videos of my face actually. So like I started posting like that conviction video I sent you, just kind of like I wanted people to like see like a person behind the Whale.
Yeah.
I felt like that was a little bit of a niche that I could pick up on in like an NFT space where everybody's hiding behind, JPEGs. Like I feel like it's nice to see a face, and I feel like people were refreshed by that. And one of the things too, I mean, just the support from the Whale community, it truly like allowed me, to like fully like believe in myself and like, just go for it, like, I have these people boosting me and like, calling me like all these like nice things, it just felt so great. And then, just to be able to represent them at the same time and, understand that like, what I'm doing is also adding value to like the project, and it's like a family, so I started doing that, and they posted like a social media marketing job. And I'd sent my resume, I kind of modified it for like a Web3 kind of thing, and then I sent like an informal little write-up as far as some of my experience. I did some like alpha calling for cyber villains.
Okay.
Spinnakiss is a good friend of mine, and I love that guy. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. But he kind of like just also believed in me, and like started paying me a little bit of soul per week to just write calls. And he was just like, yeah, just do your thing, man. So like I was like, wow, there's really so much potential. And like I had tweeted at the beginning of the year that like my goal was to get like a full-time job in Web3, because like In-N-Out was cool and I loved it and I've been there forever, but I just I want to do something more. Like I wanted to be able to like make an impact on the world and like be able to help people. And like I felt like this was just like meant for that. I'll be able to like be an avenue for where I can impact so many different things. So so they finally reached out to me on Telegram, and I was just like waiting, and I was just like they're like, we want you to work with us, Kenny. And I was just like, let's freaking go. And I was like, I'm ready, I'll work at this rest of this week out, and then I'll be ready to go. And it's really been a crazy experience. It's just such a new space, and it feels like, I tell people, like, I feel like I'm Jeff Bezos in his like garage when he's like building Amazon, right? Like, like it's just so early, like to like be building this thing, like, and it's just such a unique opportunity. And just working with the these people that have worked with some people like big careers and have had that experience in dealing with those things. It's I'm very, very blessed, and it's such an opportunity.
So for people that have no exposure to the whales, could you give us kind of like a TLDR of what y'all got going on? So like what the initial plan was, if it's still the same, what's coming up in the future?
Right. So for whales in general, right? So WAGMI Beach is like our entertainment company that we help like other projects like drop underneath us. So whales will be your ticket to WAGMI Beach. So there'll be future collections. The goal is 3 to 5 per year that we'll be releasing, and Catalina Whales will get some kind of access to it. So if it's a larger collection, you'll get like a guaranteed mint. So we have beached whales coming up in the summer, and every whale you own is like a free mint per whale. And then there's tier upgrades. So like if a tier 2, if you own 5 whales, you'll get 1 additional free mint. So you'll get 6. And then if you're a tier 3, which is a pod father, which is 10 whales, you'll get additional 3 free mints. And so these rules still kind of apply to Bubble Goose, but with Bubble Goose, it's not free mints, it's just additional mints. So you get a guaranteed mint, but you still have to pay the mint price. But with beached whales, it'll be a free 1-for-1 because that will be a larger collection. And so that's just kind of like the gist on the NFT side, but also like part of the blueprint. I mean, there's like a big TV show in the works. So the team is like constantly having meetings with, big production companies, one of them being Fuzzy Door, and that's gone really well. So basically we have like the story Bible, and there's this idea that the whales, have taken over the world. The world's flooded, and the humans have flooded to Mars, or have left the Earth, and they with Elon Musk, and now they live on Mars. And the whales kind of rule, and it's kind of like a reverse role, like in the Earth. So like the whales run everything. There might be some humans left over, but that might be in tanks or something, or like it just kind of a play on that. But basically, like the number one way to get in the household is like TV, entertainment and like stuff right now. And I just feel like from a marketing standpoint, like that just is really going to be like a way to get more eyes on Solana, NFTs, and things like that in general. But they also have like Whale Records, where we're accepting music entries and demos from like artists, and we have 3 of the founders, Carlo, Ben, and Josh. They run an independent record label, and basically they're helping some whales, produce some music and things like that. The thing I'm most excited about though is actually the Catalina Whale Mixer, the actual party that's going to be like a networking event, and also like a big rager, right? So like the beginning of the day or whatever, if it's a multiple part thing, we're hanging out, making connections, doing our thing, and then we might have Diplo or somebody, they're like on the DJ just like killing it. But that's looking like it's going to be in Q4 of this year, and we're still exploring like locations, but like NFT Art Basel is looking like it's going to be like a top spot in Miami. So
very cool.
We'll see.
Very cool. So just to kind of go back on some of those answers, the TV show, is that going to be just like a YouTube series kind of thing?
So it's very early as far as the process, but the ultimate goal is no. I mean, they want to partner up with a network or like a Hulu or Netflix or something, and get that
Cool.
going, and like basically like it's going to be like a legit thing. So the way we like to describe it is like a South Park almost meets like Web3. So like basically like a rag, like some of the whales might be like rags to riches to rags type story, like basically like how crypto is so volatile and things like that. So that's kind of where the TV show goes.
That's really cool. I think the clips that you see on Twitter are hilarious. Like
Awesome.
I laugh my ass off when I see them. In fact, so my wife isn't really into, like when I talk to her about crypto or NFTs, she's kind of just like, meh.
Right.
whatever. But I have shown her a couple of the the whale clips, and she laughs at those. So I'll take that as a win
And
as far as
that's, yeah, no, for sure. No, it's crazy that, how some things hit with certain people. And that's one thing that, the Wales is trying to do, is just being able to bring in like a massive audience like that. Maybe you might not understand NFTs, but you think the show's funny.
sure.
And some of these whales, will be in the TV show. So let's say like the main character is, your whale, and it's ranked, 455 or whatever, or 4,555, but it's the main character, in some TV show, like the IP, you own the IP rights to that. So like basically your value of your whale can go up just by like it being casted in a show. And then there's going to also like be a writer's room where they're working with the show writer, where certain whales can submit a Google form and incorporate ideas for episodes and stuff, because it's going to be like a sandbox style almost.
Okay.
So it just has a lot of opportunity for the community to get involved too. And like myself and Slaticus both were hired from the community. Slaticus did the Whale Wars, which was like a competition where you had to like go around and do certain things. He had to like yell pow pow at a restaurant and go put whale flyers up all over the place. But he ended up getting to like fly to Catalina Island with the team, like hang out with them for a day. They went to a Lakers game and they sat like in a suite. It was pretty crazy. And
that's cool.
now he's running the Bubble Goose thing, man. Like he's been running the Bubble Goose Twitter, and we're working on getting all that stuff figured out. But it's just really cool to see that the hire from within, and they value that, because I think that's super important.
So the Bubble Goose mint, now we hadn't really talked about this. So how does that kind of play a factor into like the whale? Is it under the like the Catalina Whale Mixer umbrella? Is it completely separate?
You're talking about Bubble Goose?
Yeah, the Bubble Goose mint. Sorry.
Okay, so the way I like to describe it, and it's still kind of being defined as we go on, but it's like a multiverse. All right, so like whales exist in their own world. Bubble Goose might even have their own show, right? But
Okay.
like all of these things can exist like at the same time, like in like a Wagme Beach. So like Wagme Beach is like the kind of the umbrella of everything. So like Beached Whales is the third project. So we have like real estate and portals and stuff, and we're working on what utility each project will get. But Bubble Goose will have its own separate utility, but we're working on like a token within like the Wagme ecosystem where maybe Bubble Goose can earn a certain amount, and we maybe mint a project in that token or whatever. So there's just a lot of different things, but Bubble Goose is it's super like affiliated, but it's kind of taking its own thing with Carl and his story, because it's just we can kind of transition to VCon here, but when he was up there at VCon, he kind of really stole the show and was really like talking about how his history from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and how like all the cool kids were wearing like Bubble Goose jackets back in the day and like rocking those, and that's where he was kind of inspired. So like this Bubble Goose baller has like lived in his like sketchbook for years, and he has come to like these networks and different things like that and presented the idea. And some ideas he said were just like too crazy, or like they were just like, we can't do that anymore. Like he wrote Boondocks, and some of those ideas were pretty groundbreaking and pretty out there as far as politically correct and whatnot. And he found Solana, and he found Wagme Beach, and with their connections and entertainment, and it was really like, look, this is creative freedom. Like we can do what we want. Like we can get the community involved to help build this thing. And it just really has like taken a whole different life. But it's just really cool to hear. He's such a hilarious guy. I think he said one of his pitches was that he wanted to have like Kanye take over the world, and then everybody that wasn't wearing Yeezys, he was going to cut off their feet. So it was just like some kind of crazy concept or whatever. But it's just like the creative direction with NFTs and everything. Like there's no one telling you like, hey, we can't do that, like, and it kind of opens up things. So I think that's with Bubble Goose makes that super cool.
No, I saw just the the tweet about his story. It was pretty cool. I'm actually excited to see kind of where that goes. I know it has a ton of hype around it. So I'm excited to see kind of where that goes. So hopefully we can get mint one myself. It's the popularity, it's grown. It's kind of cool to see like the whales, it's the kind of side by side, kind of doing its its own thing.
For sure. And with the Bubble Goose community, I'll just comment that like the communities like all over the world, right? So like we just have so many people from like Nigeria, and like it's just so many people like creating this like content, like they're dancing for whitelist, they're rapping and singing and creating these songs. And like I mean I know I'm getting bothered, like not bothered, but like I always have people in my DMs and mentions and stuff. And I mean I just can't imagine Slidicus and all those guys, but I just see so much like new creative pop up like all the time for this Bubble Goose. And it's really like pretty cool to see. Like I think it still follows, like even after like the collection, even people that don't have the Bubble Goose will still be a fan of this. Like some of them will, I mean obviously it'll die some after post mint, but it's really, like you said, it's very exciting to see, and the hype for sure is definitely there.
So you mentioned VCon. Is that like a Gary V convention or?
Yeah, so it was VCon this last week. It ran from like I think Wednesday through Saturday, and basically there was only one Solana panel. So that was Bartosz Lipinski, which is like a leading Solana dev. Stephen Hess, I think is his name. I may be wrong, so don't quote me on that one. But he was also a Solana dev, and we also had Carl Jones up there, Michael George, and Carlo Fox. So those are like two whale founders, and then Carl's the Bubble Goose. And they basically kind of had a real lighthearted conversation about Solana and just talked about the potential of the gasless like ecosystem and the transaction per second and everything just being like so much more efficient for like NFTs, and being able to build on this. Eventually like projects will be able to airdrop to all their holders without having to pay the fees for that, like because a lot of people don't think about that, but when you get an airdrop, that project is still sending those things out, and there's small fees and things that they have to accrue. And they're working on like a raindrop protocol to basically where you can like scan a QR code and it'll be a free mint. So like at events and stuff, you can mint an NFT by like scanning in a QR code, and it'll like load it to a separate wallet. And there's just a lot of things that are being built on Solana that they kind of talked about. But the most unique thing was the Carl story, and just like how Solana allows builders to really create.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yes,
so for my exposure to the whales, right? We already said that I have really limited exposure. The last time I saw whales, they were like in the teens, and now obviously they're at 100 floor price. What happened? Because I feel like it's kind of just been like silently growing, at least in my background, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now they're clearly like undeniable.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, in my eyes, like with the price, what happened is it was just time, right? So like, projects go through consolidation phases, and like they're undervalued for a certain amount of time. I mean, there's projects that are sitting out there like that right now, but basically we rolled out the blueprint, which was like a major thing as far as like really like laying out what the ambitions were. Cause some of, the ideas of the show, the records, the mixer were like super concrete. And then the blueprint kind of gave a better clear path for that. And then, Bubble Goose was announced, and then we ran a timer. So like you had a certain amount of time to accumulate a whale to get your Bubble Goose mint pass. And so we ran a little thing around that, and we saw the sales spike up to around like 40 to 80. So it went from, like you said, from like 17 to 40 pretty quick. And then within 2 days we were 80 plus. And then it consolidated from 70 to 100 for a little while. And then our last run up, we ran to 175. But I think basically the community really got together and started, taking over Twitter and really rating and like spreading their opinions on different things. And then I think just, people were noticing that like just no staking, there was no reason, like there was a coin that was going down, like nobody was earning passive income, like that they realized that there was something more here, and they kind of looked into it and realized that the team, the community, and everything were just a little different than your average NFT project.
Yeah, I mean a lot of projects, they come and go, and I feel like a lot of the bigger ones seem to be ones that are growing outside of just the ecosystem, right? So like obviously like with your guys, you're doing a TV show, you got music label going on, and I think it's a pretty clear path to success, right? Like you look at like Steppen, like they're not just locked into NFTs, right? They're like a bigger than the ecosystem they came up in. So it's kind of a no-brainer at this point for like your project, obviously successful. Other projects are probably going to start following suit there. And I think whales are going to be like right at the front of the pack on that. I think that's really cool.
You said whales are going to be what? I sorry, I lost you.
The front of the pack.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, did you hear him?
Can you hear me out?
I just heard at the very end. I just heard whales are going to be blank, but
At the front of the pack.
oh yeah. So definitely, yeah. No, I think that's very important. You know, as NFT space, because like those projects, if you really look at them, a lot of them are just like copycatting of each other. Variations of tokenomics and things like that. And I think that was another thing. It's just whales were so unique. It wasn't. There's not really a project that's doing the same thing as far as like ambitions as whales is, and the holders understand it's a longer term, and that whales are your ticket to the mixer as well, which is going to be like a big networking event. I think that's a lot of things that people didn't realize with VFriends is that the VFriends is a ticket to VCon. But when you were buying VFriends at the time, you weren't thinking about something that you would go to in a year from now. But now, like the closer it gets, that being a ticket, and you get a +1 as well. So my fiance and I will be able to go out and have a good time, and just very looking forward to it. But like you said, though, they're always looking to change the space, right? And they're with partners, and they have these connections with people that are able to move these mountains or whatever. And like this, for example, like I won't drop too much alpha, but on the spaces tomorrow, Magic Eden will be on, and some ETH players, and there's going to be some big things coming out tomorrow as far as the Bubble Goose and things like that. And it's just trying to Ethereum and Solana eventually they have to coexist for everybody to be successful, right? And some things are going to be better on one, or some things are going to be better on other, or a bridge or whatever it has to be. But that's just one thing that we're focusing on right now is like we have the eyes on Solana that we have right now, but how can we bring more from everywhere, like because there's different types of money out there, and a different appeals. So I think that's one thing that whales just continue to think about.
No, I agree. I think being a well holder now, and kind of just being a part of the community, kind of the vision and everything that the team is working on and incorporating. I mean, they're taking it to another level. I think it's pretty easy to be bullish on the whales and their future. I mean, for me personally, when you can see the long-term vision and where's it going, the whales kind of check every box. I mean, they got a lot going on. I don't feel like it's too much. I feel like the team is meant and ready to handle it. So I really like kind of just everything that I've heard, and the kind of the long-term vision. So for me, like I said, I bought the whale, put it on the ledger, and for now we're enjoying the ride, and I look forward to the perks of having the whale. So
let's go. Yeah, I'm super excited to have you, man. And again, I appreciate you having me on the podcast. This has been a great time, and I love talking whales. So
sure. No, we really appreciate you and your time. We know you're busy. I hope one day I get to meet some of the whales team and yourself in person.
I'm sure we will, man. And that's just one thing too, like just being busy. Like a lot of like people like expect things from NFT projects and certain things, but a lot of conversations and things have to be had before even something can even start being executed, right? So yeah. Like it is working in Web3. It's really been enlightening, and I'm learning every day. Like I don't have so much experience in marketing, or I'm not any different than your average person, but I woke up every day and I decided I'm going to show up, like, and I think that's what a lot of people don't realize, that you just got to show up and put in the work, and like every day, and you can manifest whatever you want. And that like just kind of how I got with whales and everything. So I just wanted to add on that as far as like working hard, because I'm thinking about all the things I got to do when I get back right now.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, where can people find you at?
So at Kenny Loaded on Twitter, that's pretty much my logo. If you want to reach out on Telegram or anything too for any like business inquiries, Kenny Loaded. But yeah, Kenny Loaded, or then Kenny at wagmebeach.xyz if you want to email me anything like that. But Kenny Loaded on Twitter is mainly where I'm at.
Very cool.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you coming and talking to us.
Yeah, no problem. Y'all have anything else for me? Like I said, I really had a great time hanging out with you guys.
No, I think this was good. Yeah, I think we appreciate your time. and hopefully we can revisit this down the road. See where the whales are at in a couple months.
Oh yeah, look forward to it. Yeah, have a good day.
Appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
Bye.
Well, so talking to him was kind of an eye opener, right? Because I had, like we talked about, I had like no exposure to them, and whenever they minted, I remember it was kind of a hype mint, but in my head it was just kind of one of those quick flip kind of things. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like, oh, it's another like animal PFP. But I checked out the website while we were talking to him, and it's like they got a lot going on, and between record label, TV show, like they're really branching out beyond the ecosystem. And I think in the future that's going to start to be the play. Like obviously there's these big hyped mints, right? But I feel like a lot of them recently just like they don't have a lot going on. They're just hyped. That's just like what there is for them. But I think at least for me, it's going to start being conviction and projects and teams that I think are going to grow beyond the Solana ecosystem. So like Steppen, for example, like if I'd have caught them right when they came out, I would have been big into that because it's like something that's like bigger than Solana, And I mean, clearly it's proven its ability to grow beyond that. But like, I think I'm gonna have to buy into whales now.
Yeah, like and I agree with your take, and that's exactly kind of where my head was when my coral sold. It was like, okay, now it's time to, I wanted to expose myself to teams that have built and are established on Solana. That's where my mindset was. And Kenny had kind of hit me up and we were talking about the whales, and I had followed a little bit, like I said, but not in depth to what Kenny kind of was talking to us about. I think that's awesome. I think that the whales could open a lot of doors and bring in a lot of people to Solana, which I think we need more projects doing. And so if you ask me, like that's, I feel comfortable putting my money into whales. Like that's an investment that I feel like I can put on, like I said, on my ledger and kind of let it ride. And I mean, the Catalina Whale mixer, man, like
that sounds awesome.
What else do you
I
need?
really want to go to that. That's something I kind of had a gripe about for a while, is like there's all these hacker houses and stuff, and it's all these things specific for devs. And obviously that's fantastic, right? But the only time there's any kind of like genuine what's the word I'm looking for? Like parties or like places where you can just go and network. It's always like parties and stuff attached to those. So it's like, if I'm going to go to a different like part of the country or a different country completely, I want to go for something that's like specifically what I want to go for. Like, I don't want to go to NFT NYC if I'm not going to be able to network at NFT NYC. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not interested in just going for a party after at the end of the day or something. So the Catalina Whale mixer sounds pretty much perfect for exactly what I want. Like, I want to be able to get out, talk to new people, expose myself to new projects, just, like network. Like I want to be as much a part of this ecosystem as I can. And I have no intents on leaving. So it's like something like that would be like perfect for me.
No, I completely agree. I mean, the idea of like the TV show being like on Hulu or whatever,
that'd be awesome.
Would be so cool. And like the clips on Twitter, I think they're hilarious. Like the Step Bro, like the Step Brothers twist on them, I think is hilarious. The music label, the fact that they were the only team from Solana that was at VCon, it's pretty easy, to make a bullish case for whales anyways, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, especially with their team having like a established track record outside of NFTs and crypto, that's a big buy signal for me too.
Agreed.
Yeah, especially Miami in the winter, dude, that sounds awesome. Get away from, like, people up north can get away from the cold and shit.
Yeah,
go hang out on the beach or something.
Yeah, I mean, they said he was guessing around what, Q4, so
yep,
that's it's cold in Utah during that time.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be exciting to see where they go. I would love to see a TV show on like Hulu or something that's like from an NFT. I mean, like we haven't really seen like that kind of mainstream adoption yet, have we?
No, no. I mean,
I'm-
that's what I was gonna say. Can you imagine seeing your NFT as like a character in a TV show?
Oh, dude, that would be insane.
That is fucking sick. That's
That would
such
be
a cool play.
I feel like the most mainstream we've had with NFTs, besides like something like Steppen, is like a bunch of just like online personalities having this as PFPs. Like I feel like they haven't really had that kind of like meaningful purpose yet outside of like our little echo chamber that
World.
of like NFTs and stuff, right? It's all this Solana versus Ethereum bullshit going on all the time, right? But it's like, what does that mean for the people outside of crypto? You know, so like
Exactly.
that'd be super cool to see that.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's
that was good. That was a great conversation.
that
I enjoyed
was
talking to him.
cool. So thanks to Kenny, thanks to the Whales team for letting him come on and give us, an insight to the Catalina Whale team themselves. But for now, I think that's it. You got anything
That's all,
else?
folks.
Until next time. Okay. All right. Well,
Right.
sounds good. Sounds like I'll talk to you then.
All right, see you, pal.